Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I've got some Maxime Bernier news to tell you about. He's been tweeting, and his party has been building. Things have been happening, and well, there's a couple of updates. So the first is supply management. As you guys may or may not have heard, we now have a deal. No NAFTA. NAFTA's dead. Long live the USMCA. And that's replaced NAFTA. And if you've been hearing the criticism that basically this is just NAFTA and you almost let NAFTA go, like you almost let the USMCA go for nothing, basically. Like you didn't get anything new. You didn't get anything from the US, really, other than cultural protections and giving away our milk, right? So, yeah, that's true. We really didn't get much. But the supply management aspect, so Maxime is rightly going after them about this. Basically, he's saying, you wasted the summer. You didn't put supply management on the table. You spent the whole summer talking about how you would never give up supply management. And then you gave supply management up at the last minute when they said, no, we're actually really serious. We will tank your economy and we're going to do it tomorrow unless you sign this little paper here. And then they were like, oh my God, sign the paper. Because they understand that if they didn't, things would have gone very badly for them. But Max is targeting this because he would have done it differently, and that's good. I want to know how somebody who is wanting to be the prime minister in the next election, how they would deal with this differently, and I agree with how Max would have dealt with this. So on to Max's tweet, quote, "This is the stupidest aspect of the trade agreement. We're not abolishing the supply management cartel. The system remains in place. Consumers will continue to pay more, and Canadian farmers still won't be able to export. But the Liberal government will fork out billions to pay farmers for producing less. 2. Could have gotten a better deal if we offered to abolish supply management. It would have cost about the same to transition to a completely free system, as it will compensate farmers for a small reduction in their market share. All this to protect a few votes in some key ridings." So that's the two tweet stream about that. And here's kind of conversation, and Maxime is chatting about it. And the question is, so just so I'm clear on this, on these details, we almost take NAFTA over a 3.6% slice of an industry that employs 0.03 of Canadians, and now we're going to award them a cash prize equal to 1/6 of the national deficit. And Max says, yep, crazy as that. And with the conservative wing of the LibCon party saying it was, quote, unacceptable to entertain such a small change to the cartel's control. Yeah, 3.6%, and they're getting payouts? Crazy. So here's another one in the same conversation thread, and it's Richard Mellon saying, quote, "Most amazingly, the industry doesn't export. Why not look south and see opportunity rather than inward and be fearful? Eliminate supply management and export our great products." And Max says, "Indeed. That's what I keep saying. Supply management is geared towards servicing the domestic market only. If we abolish it, there will be competition and choice with more imports. But our producers will also be able to export their good products. But the cartel prefer protection to innovation." And yeah, I mean, if you could choose to have a monopoly and control it, or have open competition, well, you're going to choose the monopoly if you can. And it looks like they can and did. Maxime, moving on into the rise of new parties. So that's it for the USMCA and the NAFTA stuff. Max would have done it differently, and I think I would have appreciated Max's approach, because we probably would have had a deal before summer, and it would not have dragged all through. While not great for punditry, much better for Canada. We lost a lot by abdicating first action to Mexico. We lost a lot. And Trudeau's idiocy and ridiculous brinksmanship it was dangerous. It was dangerous, and it hurt Canadians, and he should have a consequence for that. The consequence should be he should lose his control of the government. So anyway, Max is talking now about, well, here it is, tweeting yesterday. Quote, "The spectacular rise of new parties in the recent New Brunswick and Quebec elections shows that a large portion of Canadian voters are fed up with the traditional way of doing politics of the old parties and are willing to explore new ideas at People's PCA." And then here's another one that Max retweeted. "In 3 short weeks at Maxime Bernier and People's PCA have signed up a whopping 20,500 members. That feat achieved without riding associations or candidates, both of which coming shortly to really get this train rolling. Well done, Canadians." And yeah, here's a newspaper article. It's in French, but luckily we have Google Translate in this modern world of ours. So it says, "Maxime Bernier debauches conservative organizers in Quebec." And I'm sorry, I'm going to slaughter names here. I apologize, but I'm doing my best. Okay, so The Popular People's Party has recruited no less than 20,374 members since its official launch 2.5 weeks ago. In comparison, the Conservative Party has about 100,000 members, and the Green Party has 20,000. Funding is also going well. The People's Party, and it's saying the Popular Party here, but I'm sure it means the People's Party, has already raised almost $338,000. And that's before they have the ability to issue tax receipts. So that's pretty incredible, really. I think that it's interesting that the Green Party has about the same amount, has fewer members than Maxime's party. And I think, is 100,000 too much to get to before Christmas? Is that aiming too high, or am I just wishful thinking? Let's say 60,000. I think we could get to 60,000 before Christmas. It's only 40,000 members. If everybody told one or two people, I don't know, 60,000 doesn't seem like all that many, and 100,000 seems like not a lot for the Conservative Party. But maybe my population models in my head are skewed because of the size of the United States, and I pay attention to the U.S. politics a lot as well. I'm interested in that, so it could just be population skewing my thought process on the amount of members or who would actually join a party. Not everybody's as enthusiastic about this stuff as I am, I have to remember. Okay, back to the article. 3.5 million during the year. In comparison, behind the scenes, we are very confident that we will be able to raise 3.5 million during the year, says the PPC. In comparison, the Conservative Party raised 20 million in 2017, and the Liberal Party raised 15.7 million. NDP raised 4.8 million. Okay, so 4.8 million. I guess you can run a campaign on that, but I've read a whole lot of articles that say you need about 20 million to run a viable campaign with everybody, with all ridings included. So take that for what it is, but that's what I've read. Okay, jumping down here a little bit. The Quebec organization. Okay, so it also said that in the top of the article that Maxime had poached some conservatives from the CPC, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Who? So it says members of the 7 constituency associations have stepped down to join Mr. Bernier and help him build local structures. So I'll read one example of somebody who's stepped down and how they're associated, and they're all like this. Like they're all former candidates who were involved in setting up the local infrastructure for the Conservative Party, and now they're helping Mr. Bernier. So here it is. Quote, Maxime's values are much closer to me than those of the Conservative Party right now. The Conservative Party, I have the impression that there's no greater difference with the current Liberal Party, explains Jacques Grenier in an interview. He gives the example of immigration. Quote, immigration comes back to a shopping center in Quebec. The federal government was supposed to pay back the millions it cost Quebec, and it does not pay back. And I do not think that there's enough demand for the Conservative Party. It's as if they did not want to displease. Mr. Grenier worked on Mr. Bernier's leadership campaign in 2017. So these people know Bernier. It's not a big bombshell. I'm sure that Bernier was alluding to a big bombshell in the last interview I saw with him. Like, we've got some big names, but he's not announcing them yet. So the rest of the stories are similar to that. They're president, they're local riding presidents, and they're people, the necessary people we need to win, because without them, the infrastructure doesn't work. And these guys were candidates, right? Like Grenier, Marie-Claude, Godou. These people were candidates. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. So we need experienced people like that to step in and help. So that's great. Thanks, guys. Here is the first poll, including the People's Party. Yeah, we're down here. It says, note, People's Party of Canada, 3% added in September 2018. So we're the gray bar at the flat line here. Yeah, that's us. But it goes whoop. I don't believe this poll. I think this poll is garbage. I was looking here. I thought, oh, are we yellow? We're not yellow. Why do they use yellow? That's strange. And then I looked at the poll closer and I was like, oh, they're not. They're saying that we're not polling strong at all. So we're not polling strong. They're going to ignore us. They're going to ignore us, and they're going to laugh at us, and they're going to tell us that we're going to lose, and they're going to say, look at these polls. You're giving it away to Trudeau. Maybe we are. You know what? Maybe we are. But at this point in time, Trudeau and Scheer are still, in my opinion, until Scheer denounces globalization and says very clearly that he's going to repeal M103 and start applying laws equally to everybody. I'm very concerned about his leadership. Very concerned. Concerned enough to to enthusiastically support Maxime Bernier because I think that he's a genuine person and genuinely represents Canadians' best interest, the best of all of our options. Nobody is perfect. There are things that I wish that were better done. But in the situation of choosing between Trudeau, Scheer, and Maxime Bernier, I take Maxime Bernier every time. And I'll leave you with this. I saw the Arana Nation's interview with Faith, and man, it was really, really, really good. Thank you very much, sir. You did a great job interviewing her. Faith, did you know I'm Greek? I am. But it was an excellent interview. Faith, how do you feel about Maxime Bernier?
Another personal, but you don't have to answer if you don't want to. What's your opinion on Maxime Bernier?
Look, great guy, very grounded. I think we have a lot of similar ideas when it comes to the efficacy and strategy of going forward and how they might split the vote. Obviously, I have a lot of questions,
yes.
but that is, his actions are a symptom, not the cause of the real problem.
Yes.
One of the most basic parts of negotiating and team building is if you have a guy in number 2, you as number 1 have to acquiesce some ground so he stays and brings his entire camp in with you. So what I mean by that is that Andrew Scheer should have frankly acquiesced some ground to the Bernier camp. Now, what Scheer could do to effectively combat Bernier would be to run some nationalist kind of immigration skeptic candidates to kind of poach some of Bernier's guys. I don't think he has the cojones to do that.
See, because I was a bit worried, and I've made videos, actually, a bit passionate videos against this whole Maxime Bernier new party thing. I think what he should have done was try to fight from the inside. But okay, I'm not the one deciding. However, I do agree with what you said in regards to Andrew Scheer and how he can fight this. But I also agree as well that, I don't know, maybe he's too establishment for that, but we'll see.
I don't think that the problem is so much Scheer. It is, as it is so often of the case, his advisors. They're all beta boys.
I think so.
They're all beta boys.
Yeah.
These are not winners. These are not aggressive men. These are men who are comfortable with kind of snaking their way up the middle to gaining the helm of the federal party. These are not guys who think strategically in a sort of way that is needed to combat the Machiavellian Saul Alinskyism of Gerald Butts. So that's a problem not just for the Conservative Party, but for all Canadians who are looking for a change in Parliament in the upcoming election.
Very quickly, I got a few.
So that's that. I think Faith's insight was very interesting. Just she knows her stuff. Watch the video. It's in 3 parts on Arana Nation. But her ability to handle the different questions that were thrown at her was great, and I appreciated her insight on Bernier. I thought it was interesting, and I thought what she thought about Scheer was interesting too. So we'll leave it at that for the afternoon, and thanks for watching, everybody. peoplespartyofcanada.ca, faithfortoronto.ca. Thanks.